Alright, so I said they were going to be 10 minutes long, the videos, but instead we're just gonna make them longer so you can get, just play them, where they all are, kind of thing, and all the information is going to be closer together. We're still on the business to-do list. We just went through the ledger with expenses that you want to label. These labels were going to be for the top heading of the ledger. Like I said, a ledger is like a long sheet. You can do you could do 2 pieces of paper, and you could do maybe 3. So you would do them in a binder, and you would put the first one, you'd lay out it so it was spread open, right? Both pieces of paper like this. So the binder spread open with a piece of paper on both sides, and you put the headings across the top, and you would leave probably at least, I like to leave a lot of room, so I think doesn't look like any more than usual, but about that much room for each column. And you have to do 1 line each, and it gets kind of confusing, but you have to learn to write smaller. And then you can turn the page. Alright, so let's see if I can do it for you. If this is the book, how do you turn the page? Like that, right? So you do it, you turn it 1 page to the left, and is that for you? Yeah, I don't know. Whatever, 1 page to the left, take the right page, turn it to the left in the binder, and then you can start the headings again there as well, and to finish up all your headings. On the column that you have on your left hand, you're going to make a column there as well, and it's going to be I think, let's see, expenses. So in totals, so you don't need the expenses you don't need the totals really for this part. It's just going to be all the information. You'll do the total later. It's going to be how much you spent, a spending sheet. And then at the beginning of the, we could probably do another piece of paper with totals, like how much is in this bank account, how much is allotted, the budget part of it. We could do the budget later. And you're going to keep that on a separate sheet of paper. That's how I do it. So sometimes there's totals in your checkbook, and I would just rather total it all at the end while keeping track during the month of each expenditure. So that is what we would be doing with the ledger. And I think what you would do is these columns here, you would put each, what's it called? I would probably put them on the left, actually, instead of across the top, this list. And then across the top, I would put the days for what you're spending, any money on for these. And then with the total end of the month, you would just go across in the line and add and subtract. Mostly subtract. I guess if you're putting any money back into it, I would start with a different sheet. So we'll do that another time. But all the, what's it called? Expenditures, you would just put cross in a line and then total it at the end. So you can add that up from your budget, subtract it from your budget. So that is the ledger with expenses. They do have ledgers that you can buy as well, if that's for you, if you don't want to make the binder. But I just really like it the other way. So let's see. Internet purchases to cancel. Oh, if you have like loose ends, the services that you're provided with, that you're paying for, that you don't want to be subscribed to anymore, this is a good time to kind of clean up your like accounts and stuff like that. It would give you a sense of security, knowing where your money's going. You can do that. So if there's anything that you don't think is like useful for your business that you have subscriptions for, just to keep track. If it's something you think you will be using in the future, I would keep it, even though, you you may not be using it now unless money's, even if money's really tight, it's kind of like you just want to keep it for a little while longer. You might have a great idea and want to use that service, and then you wouldn't have it. You'd have to sign up, and you feel guilty for spending money for it when you don't have it. So if you can, keep them if you can foresee that far.
Stay away from home.
Let's see.
For 2 fucking days, going on 3 days.
Another column. We already have the column taxes and the ledger because you want to keep track of those. Let's talk about those real quick because they don't really have a sheet on this side. A sheet. So that's another page we'll get to in the second half of the tax sheet. In the second half of the book, when we get to it, we're going to get through the first 37 of this and what each page is going to look like first. So that's something you want to do. You want to put on your setup phase checklist is a section. Leave a section for number 2 to be internet purchases to cancel. If you're going to do an online business. So, and all those, that's what this is geared to. So, let's see. If you have, let's see. Let's see. To do for personal at the same time. Alright, so another checklist you want to have in mind, at least a note on your setup phase sheet is a note to schedule time to do your balancing of your checkbooks. So you're going to have a bit personal and probably a personal. I think if you're like me, you'd probably want one. So you'd have a checking account for your personal, and you'd also have a checking account for your business, and you want to set up a time during the month to do those to make sure they balance. And you get the paper from the let's see. So I forgot to add something on the ledger. It's going to be your salary. You're going to want that on your ledger, how much you would be willing to take out of your business each month for your own living expenses. If you're not ready to do that, take a couple months, see how the business runs. And I mean, you can put it in there now but not use it, kind of thing, to see, because you might have to start in the negative when you first start out, but that's just because that's how most businesses start. Not all of them, but sometimes it does start that way. Instead of using your own money and then paying yourself back, basically. So you can pay yourself back, or that's how it works.
I'm going to take your car. That's all right. I said, you take my car, the red light's on.
But with balancing the
so stay right there, girlfriend. You've been there
for the worksheet that we were working on, number 3 is the finance worksheet, and that is going to have basically 3 totals on it, or more, and it's going to be you're going to get your statement from the bank for your business checking account, and on the worksheet you're going to have the starting balance of what you started for your business, how much money you started with. It would be the savings you would have for it, as well as how much you were going to spend the budget. And then you're going to, so you'll have that starting balance, and then you're going to use a different worksheet that we'll do in the second half of the book, but you're going to get the expenses worksheet, and you're going to you're going to have done all the expenses and added them up. You're going to put that on the second line of the finances worksheet, and you're going to have a new balance. And then after that, you're going to add any income after you've done that worksheet, which we'll also talk about in the second half of the book. Learning phase. And you're going to, so you'll add up all your income, any income you came in from or for your business, and you will add that, and then you'll have a new balance for the next month. So you're going to do that at the end of each month for your business. So, so that's those two. Let's see. That's number 3.
Listen, I got a food stamp card. There's $7 and something on it. I'll get you a drink and something to eat.
So, another thing you'll want to do is make a, let's see, a checking statement worksheet. So it's basically, this would be like rewriting down all your expenses. So basically, this is a checkbook balancing tool, number 4. And what you're going to have basically at the end is a binder that has each month set up into like sections with instructions. And it's basically going to be sheets, notes and sheets that you've printed on the computer that'll guide you each month to what you're supposed to do with your business. So you won't have to like relearn each month how to do something and keep track of your business. So the business pages that I'm giving you they come with instructions. You can write down the instructions on a separate sheet of paper or on the computer basically to print off, and then put that with the checklist if you're worried about the instructions. I'm also speaking those. If you're not worried about the instructions and you're just good with a checklist, then you'll see the checklist. It'll be in your binder for that month. I'll give you the layout of the binder and what pieces of paper should be in each section. And you can just show up and excuse me, open your binder to that month, and you can start at the beginning of the month usually and just work through it at different times as you're comfortable. Try to make it maybe about the same time each month. That would be helpful. And like the end of the month is usually best, but there's some things like creative planning that you could do at the beginning of the month that would go well. But finances I probably do at the end of the month. So number 4 is a checklist for it's basically reconciling your checking statement that you've got in paper, printed off, and keeping in a separate binder, and you're going to put that with your ledger. So you're going to look at your ledger. You're going to look at, first of all, you're going to rewrite all of your expenses. So you're going to want an expenses worksheet. Rewrite them all from the checking account. So get a piece of paper that has just tons of lines on it, basically, and 2 columns. One's going to be 3 columns, 2 fat columns, basically. Sorry, little bit extra width in the columns. So you'll have one for the ledger. That would be the second column. The first column would be your bank statement, and at the end it would be room to leave a check mark if it has been balanced. That means it adds up to the same amount. Both of them are the same amount. If not, you have to do some homework on them. Wonder where that extra money went. Either call the business or the bank to see why there's extra charge or not as much charge as it's supposed to be. Just to know, a lot of these statements, if it was something, I don't know how to reconcile if it was 1 cent off, like who do you call? But they should pretty much add up most of the time. And there may be some fees, so leave room for that. So it's going to have, I just told you what it's going to have, and so you're going to write down all of the bank statement stuff on the left, and then in the middle you're going to, if your ledger says that that amount was spent at that place, then you write it in the second column. And if they are perfectly equal, then you do the check mark. Okay, but that's just to make sure you're not getting frauded in any way or stolen from. So it's up to you. Number 5, just discuss with yourself if you want a bank card for your business. If that's something that appeals to you, you can also use blank checks from your bank to do a lot of your work for you. You may not need a checkbook for your business, online business, but I would use a checkbook with routing numbers. I would use a checkbook with your business information that you've set up and legally made. Would just set it up so that you'd be using checks online instead of a card. I think that's easier because then you just don't go out with your card and start spending money, and checks aren't really used as much anymore. So that just sounds, that's my angle on that. If you want to go to your eBay and your Amazon accounts, if you want to go to those kind of things and take off all the extra cards from your checking account, so that, or even any card, so whatever's linked to your business, you want to take those off so it's not as easy to just spend money. You have a second leg to think about what you're buying for your business. It'll give you some time to do that. Okay, so you're making wise choices with your business. If you're already good with that, you can leave them up there. I just find it easier to think through, have a clean financial pocket, basically. I like that, so that's a good way to start. So go to your online accounts and get those cleaned up. Let's see, that's number 6. If you want to, you can also reconcile, if you've already started your business like I have, but you want to reconcile further back, you can also do that. So you can go to your bank and get, say, 2 years, if you've had 2 years of business experience, but you have less business income. You've been kind of like, there's limits to how much you can make with your, there's limits how much you can make and not have to worry about being taxed with your income when you're doing businesses online, and that income is just a few $100s. You're not allowed to make very much, and if your business only makes that much or less, then you don't have to state it on your taxes. So it isn't really considered a business. It's kind of considered a hobby. So, starting your business. But you can go back for yourself and do the 2 years and see what income you've had or further, whatever, from your business. You can write that all down, make another checklist for yourself. It could have it could have columns as well, but maybe, I don't know, you just want to check to see what you've it's mostly to check to see how if you're online purchasing and business stuff was secure. So if you're worried about that as well, especially if you just decided to start without really putting your mind into it and Anyway, if you just wanted to go through and see what it was like in the past years and make sure everything's safe anyway at the same time, do that. That's number 7.